Single Simulcast is about a lot of things. This podcast may make you laugh, cry, or pound your fists into your desk. If you hear something you like or something you don't, leave a voicemail at 916-572-9016 or email us at singlesimulcast@gmail.com.
1. Single Simulcast.
Single Simulcast episode 286. Shantae's here. And I'm pleased to say that we are joined by yet another esteemed guest. I think that y'all need to just go ahead and get your minds right. For the next 3 months? 3 months, I think. Niggas been booking. Let's just put it like that. And when I say booking, I don't mean running from the cops. But you know what I mean when I'm like, that nigga was booking. I still don't know how that means running. Like, there's terms we came up when we were younger that just, I don't know if that means what you think it means, homie. Booking, like, no, like, but we have, a litany of guests coming up for the, next 3 months at the very least. And some of them have been on the show before, some of them have not. It's just a way for us to gear up towards episode 300. But right now, we have on our show the host of the Buy Black podcast, the esteemed listening machine. You have way more patience than I do, good sir. We are joined by Mr. Gerald Jones himself. Gerald, tell him something about yourself. Tell him about Buy Black. The floor is yours.
Oh, I appreciate it, Rashani. So first of all, thank you, and thank you, Shantae, for having me on the show. It was a surprise to get invited, and I've always been hoping that I might get invited to come hang out with you guys. So I'm very excited to be here. A little bit about me and my show. I do host the Buy Black podcast. I started it.
Hello?
2017, and a little bit about the backstory with that. On July 5th of 2016 was the day that we all saw that tragic video of Alton Sterling being gunned down by police officers in Baton Rouge, and then of course followed by Philando Castile the next day. And those things happened to happen at a time where I had just finished my bachelor's degree, so I had a whole bunch of time on my hands, and I was looking for a project. I was trying to figure out what I was going to do with my hands. Because like Ricky Bobby, like I was just standing there like, I don't know what to do. So those things happened, and immediately it became clear to me that whatever project I took on needed to be geared towards improving the future for the Black community in some way, shape, or form. I've always been a really smart guy, a really talented guy. I've never really had any problems getting anything I want in life. And I would define myself as really privileged in the way that I grew up and the things I've been able to accomplish in my life. And up to that point, I've really just been focused on me and my family and making sure we were good. When those things happen, I immediately was like, dude, you have so much to offer this world. You may not know what it is yet, but you've got to use this brain you have to figure out a way to crack a nut that other people haven't been able to crack. And so I started kind of trying to figure out what that would look like. And over the next 9 months, it evolved into the idea of a podcast and interviewing people, but I didn't really know what it would look like. And I ran across a friend of mine that I had grown up with, gone to church with on Facebook. We connected, we started talking. I looked at her website, or I looked at her Facebook page, and she was just finding Black-owned businesses and just promoting them on her Facebook page. Nobody asked her to do it. She was just like, I want these businesses to have more exposure. And so I was like, that's it. Like, Black-owned businesses have a hard time getting exposure in the market. People are always complaining about, I can't find Black businesses. I want to buy Black, but I don't know where to get them. So people have a hard time finding Black businesses. And then there's this podcast thing of, you know, a podcast can be a 30-minute, 45-minute, hour and a half long infomercial if you want it to be, and it doesn't cost that much to create one. So what if I created a podcast that was specifically designed to promote and support Black-owned businesses? Buy Black Podcast. And the idea was so simple that immediately I was like, somebody's doing this already. There's no way that there's not a podcast geared around this out there. So I went searching. I searched Apple, I searched Google, I searched Stitcher, I searched all these places. There was 0 other podcasts in the market that were geared to supporting and promoting Black-owned businesses. And so I moved real quick. I was like, well, if somebody hadn't figured this out yet, I better not let them figure it out before me. And so that was around like April of last year. It was around, so it's been about a year now. I actually shot out an email. I found a blog that promoted brand new Black-owned businesses. I shot emails to like 20 business owners, just cold emails, and kind of pitched the show to them. And out of those 20 emails, I got 10 responses, which is a ridiculous return rate on a cold email to a business owner. So I got 50% response rate of people who were like, hey, I want to know more. And I got a 25% response rate of people who were like, sign me up. I want to be a part of that. And so immediately I knew, I was like, okay, this is an itch that people have. Now I got to figure out how to put it together. So over the next couple of months, from April until June, I got all the things together I needed to get together. I kind of put together an interview format. I recorded my first episodes, and then I launched the show on July 5th. Specifically, I wanted to launch the show on July 5th in honor of Alton Sterling, and been going ever since, man. It's just been connecting with new people. It's been blowing up, especially since 2018 rolled over and I got my website up. Just so much moving and shaking and connecting happening around this show right now. And I've got great expectations for the impact we're going to be able to make out there in the world.
I love the whole idea of this show. I love what you're doing for the community in this show. And I want to commend you for both. I have a question. When you came up with this show, when that light just flipped on, like, why isn't anybody else doing this? Did you anticipate the response that you are currently getting as far as people who are listening to the show, people who want to be on the show, and people who have been on the show? So
I would say, yes, I anticipated it. I would say that my expectations were very unrealistic when it comes to, like I said, I've lived a really privileged life. And so I have this expectation in my life that I'm going to win, and that I'm going to win quick, and I'm going to win the first time that I go out and do something. It's just, that's always been the way this stuff works out. And so this has really been a lesson in patience and a lesson in being thorough and following through on something in my life, because, I went out and I'm like, well, nobody else is doing this. As soon as I put it out here in the market, it's just going to blow up. Right. Mm-hmm. And it was not like that at all. Well, at least by my standards. It was very slow going up front, getting people to be on the show. I think I was able to get 5 interviews signed up before I ever started the show. And then it took me a few months to get the next ones, because I just expected, once I get these shows out here, people listen to it. They're just going to be rolling in wanting to be on the show. No, you got to put in the work. You got to go out and you still got to keep selling this idea to people. You got to show them that it's real. You got to show them it's going to stick around. I ended up actually getting some business owners that I connected with before I ever started the show, who signed up to be on the show 6 months after it was up, because I reached back out to them and said, hey, I reached out to you when I had an idea. Now we've got 20 episodes in the books, and here's how many downloads we're doing. I want to come back to you. Do you want to be on the show? And it was just that credibility of having something that was real, seeing that I wasn't just somebody talking, but I've actually created something from nothing, and it's out here doing things that have people say, okay, yeah, I want to be a part of it now. And you gotta be ready for that. So for me, my expectation was that it would catch on quicker, but I was expecting the type of response. I was expecting a lot of business owners to want to be a part of it. I was expecting people in the audience to really want to connect either with me or those businesses. The one thing that I think changed and made it more effective was when I stopped trying to use the show to promote those businesses almost like an infomercial, like I was saying before. I found that I was doing solo episodes where I was teaching people stuff about starting a business. And then I would do an interview episode where I was just letting people talk about their business. And I would get emails about my individual shows, but no responses on the interviews. And I was like, all right, well, that's telling me something about the market, right? People want to be taught something. They'll listen to you talk about your business, and they'll be like, yeah, cool story, bro. That was great. But they won't reach out and buy. So I changed the format, and I said, any business owner that comes on here, yeah, you'll get to talk about your business a little bit, but the majority of the time you're going to be teaching something specific that folks out in the audience can use to go start their business, and you're going to give them the details. You're going to give them the nuts and bolts. They'll be able to use it. We're not going to go here and be like, oh, I got the secret. You got to pay me to find it. No, here's all the secrets. Here's what you can do, and if you want to know more, call me. When we changed that format, my interview, my business owners, they started getting calls. They started getting people buying their product. They started getting people connecting because, especially out here in podcast world, people listen for one or two reasons. They want to be entertained, or they want to learn something that they can use immediately. So when I immediately changed the format to where we're going to teach people something they can use immediately and then tell them to reach out to you for more, people started reaching out. The response really that I was looking for started happening. But it was a process, didn't really get it perfect out the gate, but it's a constant improving process.
Now, you said that you have the businesses teach the listeners, the audience, something, and then if they want more information, they can contact them. Are the things that they are teaching them specific to their business, or is it a general idea for that you have, like, this week we're going to teach them how to, I don't know, open up a bank account. Do you need to have a banker on for that, or can you have like a restaurant owner on for that? Does it really matter either way?
Yes. So for something like that, it wouldn't. And that's a great question. The way that I lay it out. So I always do a pre-interview before the show. I have a spot on my website where you can just go, it says book podcast interview, and you can never directly book an interview. You can book a pre-interview, and I just get on the phone with you for 30 minutes and just listen to you talk to me about your business. And I ask some questions about how you got started and this, that, and the other. And there's usually some aspect of that business that the person is really excited about and that they're really good at. And that could be networking, that could be marketing or branding, that could be, the nuts and bolts of structuring the business. And whatever that thing is, I identify that during the pre-interview and say, okay, your episode is going to be about this. And when we get into it, you'll spend a little bit of time talking about you and your background so people know you. Spend a little bit of time talking about your business and what you do. But we're going to spend the bulk of our time with you teaching people how they can do this thing the way you do that thing. So a great example here, I had a guy on named Jamel LeBranch. He's got a company called Faith is Fuel Shades. He sells designer premium sunglasses. Well, the way that he markets his sunglasses, he goes on Instagram and he connects with influencers. He connects with, athletes, entertainers, and he does a marketing campaign through Instagram that is really low impact, doesn't cost him any money, and he connects with these, high visibility people. He gets them wearing his shades, helping him promote, and it's really helped him grow his business. Didn't cost him a dime, and when he started talking about that on the show, I was like, okay, we're digging deep on that. We're going to talk about how to use social media marketing in order to get influencers to help you build your brand. That's something that any business can learn from, right? Mm-hmm. And so it doesn't specifically have to do with, hey, if you're going to be in my particular industry, here's what you do. It's more of a, hey, here's a basic concept of running a business that I do really well that I'm going to teach you how to do, and you can use it in any industry that you're in. I've done a show with a woman who she's got a product called Glam Bulb. And it's basically a light bulb that mimics sunlight, so that when you're putting on your makeup inside, you actually are using the same type of light that you would be and outside. That way you don't end up with two different shades. And Shantae probably knows what we're talking about.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I mean, that's a dope concept, because that's very important. A lot of people, they don't realize, like, I think we're so used to like yellow light because that's what we grew up with. Yeah, that we feel like it's okay, and then you get the white light, and you're like, oh, like it's life changing.
Yeah, completely mismatched, right? And so she's got Glam Bulb, and that's a product business that she has. But the first business she started was a drop shipping business, selling those hoverboards that were popular a couple years ago. And drop shipping is a type of business model that I've never done, but I was interested in. A lot of folks in the audience were interested in. So we ended up teaching people about how to start a drop shipping business in that episode. And then it was like, oh, by the way, we also have Glam Bulb over here, which is an incredible product. And she got a huge feedback from that show. People want to know more about drop shipping, and then also wanting her product. So that's kind of how I try to do it. Is your business and your product is kind of secondary, but your expertise and what you can teach people is up front, because that's what's going to make them pick up the phone anyway.
At this point in time, how many episodes do you have?
So technically, I have 40 episodes out. I'm only up to episode number 32, though, because for a while I was doing the interview episode would be the normal episode, and then I would do a B episode that was me by myself teaching something. So it'd be like 1B, 2B, 3B. And then eventually I realized, yeah, you got a life and a family and a 40-hour job. You can't do 2 episodes a week. So I just cut it down to doing 1 episode. But yeah, I'm 41 episodes in after the one that I recorded tonight.
And at this juncture, if you can, which one would you say was the most unique business that you've interviewed thus far?
Oh man. All right. So I'm looking down my list right now on the website. The most unique business that I've interviewed. That's a hard one, man. I will. All right. So I'm going to go with Jameel Robinson, not to be confused with Jamel LeBranch, the guy I just talked about. Jameel Robinson's business was the most unique in my mind, and here's why. She creates natural hair care products, which is not a unique market, but Jameel is an actual pharmacologist and she's a cosmetologist. So she's a science nerd who does hair. She actually, she literally used her own lab to create these natural hair care products that you look at her label and you look at the ingredients on her label, you can eat those ingredients. Like, she's using actual natural ingredients. And I'm talking about like straight from the earth, natural ingredients, no fillers, no nothing. And she went through the entire scientific process with this stuff in her lab to do everything from, putting them on a culture and leaving them for months to see what the shelf life is going to be and how long it takes for bacteria to grow and what's going to make it stable and the differences between, the oils that you need for facial hair versus this hair and that hair. And like, she nerded out on the scientific side of this, creating natural hair care products that you can literally put in your mouth just the same way you put on your skin, and they work and they're incredible. And I use her stuff for my beard. Highly recommended. Phoenix Deep Rooted Organics. But I think her episode and her take on her industry was one of the most unique that I had seen, because it wasn't just we see a lot of people get tired of all the chemicals that are out there that don't really work for black hair, and they just say, well, I created my own formula at home. It's like, yeah, that's cool, you did. But Jameel not only created her own formula at home, she's an actual scientist. So her stuff is legit on the ingredient side and on the scientific testing side of it. She's got an incredible product.
I feel like I should check out that hair product. I mean, I know I got this bald spot right here, but the part around it, like everything around the bald spot is flourishing. Like it's lively, and I still got my beard and my sideburns, and I don't know why I got this big ass patch just right in the middle of my head, and it's getting to the point now where the kids at my basketball practices can see it, and they're asking questions. I don't want to answer questions like, Coach, how long has that bald spot been there? And I was like, just because you got a little bit taller,
don't mean you need to be looking at the top of my head.
Exactly.
Mind your business.
Matter of fact, do a suicide.
So real quick though, she's got a line of her products that's called the Ash line of her Phoenix products, and the whole thing with the Phoenix is the rebirth, right? Mm-hmm. Her Ash line is all about regrowth, hair regrowth. So she's got natural products that are designed around regrowing hair. So you might want to check out some of that so that the kids ain't got nothing to talk about.
Now, I just want to point out that we did not set that up. That was not like the ShamWow commercial. That was literally just synergy. That was just beautiful right there. Now, this was set up. Somebody bit Beyonce.
What?
Man.
Yeah. Somebody bit Beyonce, and everybody wants to know what happened. See, on Tiffany Haddish, who's just wonderful on so many different levels, knows who bit Beyonce. Because I guess that this has been like a whole thing. Like, somebody bit Beyonce on the face, and it wasn't Blue Ivy. I figured it was Blue Ivy, because babies bite. Like, I've never been bitten on the face before. No, as a matter of fact, I've never been bitten on the face, period. Like, I don't know if a baby would bite me on. I think I'd be kind of dismayed if a baby bit me on my face. Like, do you know where my face has been? I don't even know where that came from. But Tiffany Haddish said that Sanaa Lathan is the biter of Beyonce.
Really?
And one source said that it was not an aggressive bite, that it was playful and non-invasive, but still caught Beyonce off guard. I personally was shocked that it was Sanaa Lathan, allegedly, because when you ask me who bit Beyonce, my first answer is Christina Aguilera.
Wow. Really?
Britney Spears?
Wow. See, I know Twitter's first thought was that it was Jennifer Lawrence, but it turns out that Jennifer Lawrence wasn't even in the state at the time. I got a nice snarky tweet saying that she wasn't in the state. I muted that person, but whatever. But
somebody knew where Jennifer Lawrence was at the time, but
right.
who knows where Jennifer Hudson was?
But yeah, it was that Twitter definitely thought it was Jennifer Lawrence. I saw something that said it was some woman named Sarah Foster, who's been on like some TV. I think she was on 90210 or something. I don't know. I don't watch the show that she was on. I couldn't pick that woman out of a lineup, but that's who other people were saying it was. I did not know that Tiffany Haddish said that it was Sanaa Lathan, because Sanaa Lathan is denying that it was her. I saw a tweet go down my timeline that she said it wasn't her.
Yeah, she said, "Y'all are funny. Under no circumstances did I bite Beyonce, and if I did, it would have been a love bite." So the story goes that Sanaa was talking to Jay in a way that made Beyonce uncomfortable. Beyonce went over to Sanaa, who brushed off any insinuation of inappropriate conduct and then gave her a jokey bite. Tiffany then told Beyonce that she was going to kick Sanaa's ass, but Bey told her to let it go. Who bit her? I mean, other than Solange.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know who bit Beyonce. I thought the hashtag was funny. I thought everybody trying to figure it out was funny.
I'm like, yo, like, this is the real thing. Like, I saw it on Facebook, and I was like, I gave a couple suggestions, including Rachel Dolezal because of the braids.
The braids?
Yeah, she clearly, and Alicia Keys. and nobody liked my suggestions. I got a whole lot of "get the hell out of here, mans," and you're wrong for that. One person called me a troll. I didn't appreciate that at all because I wasn't feeling very trollish with the answer. I think that Jennifer Lopez did bite Beyonce a little bit. So, it was just a whole back and forth thing. And then I got blocked and muted and had to call Nisha and ask her to unblock me. Cause wives shouldn't block husbands out of spite because of who bit Beyonce, suggestions.
Wow, Nisha blocked you?
Well, survival tactic, cause I was going to keep coming back with thoughts.
Okay.
Like the Count from Sesame Street. These are just mosquitoes. Like my answers were logical. I don't know where they got Sanaa Lathan from, but quite honestly, vampire bats. But yeah, I got blocked and then I got unblocked, but by then it was too late. Like the beef was on. But apparently Sanaa said she didn't do it. So we are putting out a reward if you know who bit Beyonce.
Wow.
It's serious in these streets.
But a reward?
Want to know who bit Beyonce.
So what's the okay, I'm sorry for interrupting. Okay, go ahead. What's the reward?
The reward for telling us who bit Beyonce is a single simulcast t-shirt.
Wow.
Right?
But we need like some for real confirmation. Like you can't just roll up and be like, yo, it was this person and get a t-shirt. You actually got to have some proof, some receipts.
And we can,
as the kids say,
it ain't Charlie. Mommy, Charlie bit my finger.
Oh.
So
that's an old one. That's an old video.
Yeah. Charlie's like grown up now. Like not grown up, but like old enough to not be biting people's fingers. So if he's still doing it, it's awkward. Speaking of things that are likely extremely awkward, DMX went to jail recently and has a plan to help himself out of jail. I say this with all sincerity. I used to love DMX and I used to love his music. He's gone through hard times, obviously. And last November, he pled guilty to 1 count of tax fraud at a Manhattan court and is now facing 5 years in prison. The Rough Rider rapper was accused of masking the earnings from his spawned hits, which includes X Gon' Give It To You and Where the Hood At, owing $1.7 million back in taxes. Now, I didn't think Where the Hood At was really a hit. I didn't. I thought that was him on his downslide. I wasn't promoting that album at all. But he admitted, I failed to file taxes. He said that to the U.S. District Judge Jed Rakoff. I'm responsible, even placing other people in charge of it. So, open and shut case, Johnson. But no. In a court document made public on Monday, DMX's attorney Murray Richmond. That's a tax attorney. That's the name of a tax attorney. Like literally, the tax attorney's name is Murray Richmond. Come on, y'all. Come on now. He said that his defense is he wants to play a few of his client's songs at the upcoming hearing on Thursday. Richmond believes the music will help U.S. District Judge Jed Rakoff understand him genuinely in his voice, since the rapper is apparently too emotional to speak in court. Quote, "This is raw Earl," said Richmond. "We are not here or desirous of molding him into what some may want to see. Earl is uniquely him, and that is both his beauty of mind and his genius." So
wow,
he's the attorney Richmond has already sent the judge the lyrics to DMX Jam's "Slippin'" and "The Convo," viewing the act as, quote, a salvationist sort to shut out the noise. Also, X is reportedly sober and invigorated, remaining in good nature at the Metropolitan Correctional Center in Manhattan. I don't think it's going to work.
No.
I don't either. Like this, like it's for tax. It's for tax evasion, right? Like,
yes.
Like this, like if you had told me that this was like a criminal thing, like some type of something, and you're trying to create an emotional response, like try to gain sympathy, for him as far as that's concerned, because I feel like that's something people do. That's what lawyers do. They try to gain sympathy for their client and everything. It would make sense. This is just about money. I don't see how you can try to put like his background, the way that he grew up, and try to spin it as it having something to do with him not filing his taxes.
So I'm reading one of the stories on this right now because I don't do current events or pop culture. I don't know things. So I'm reading as you're talking, and I'm seeing here that a part of the defense is basically going to be like, hey, so I won't be able to pay what I owe if I'm in jail. So listen.
Wow.
Listen to these hot tracks and recognize that, I can deliver more of this, dog. Like, I can go out and I can make that money and pay y'all back as long as you don't put me in jail. And so there's another part of this line that says specifically, and I quote, the MC can't pay his back taxes or support his 15. Okay, I'm gonna slow down and say that one more time. Or support his 15 children if he is locked up in prison. Now, I think maybe, for the root or for somebody else, like the focus is on talking about the songs in court, but I think he's really going to be playing up I got 15 kids to support out here. I can't be in jail for 5 years. I think they're really going to play that up because I can't see the other argument going much further than a laugh from the judge and the bailiff.
Well, I can see the children being played up, but I also see a pretty strong defense by playing the music.
Right.
Because, well, Shantae, you better say yours first because I am totally not fucking serious and I'm trying to figure out where you saw logic in this. So go ahead.
Well, no, it's just like I feel like you don't need to play his music to say, hey, if he can't, if he's not working, he can't pay stuff. I feel like that's what a lot of people's defenses are when they get caught up. It's just like, you want some money, but I can't pay you if I'm in jail. Can we figure something else out? I don't understand.
I'm in jail, dog, but if you let me out of jail, I promise you I'll get the money. X is gonna give it to you. Come on, man. You don't believe me? Get at me, dog. I've been slipping, all right? But I promise you, if you let me out of this, I'll tell you how it's going down.
Wow. You're going to hit like every song. You're going to hit all his hits. His top 10.
But I didn't know, first of all, that he had 15 children. Honestly, because I didn't know DMX was still alive after he stopped making albums. After he stopped making records and he stopped making horrible movies like Romeo Must Die, kind of fell to the wayside for me. I hope he's able to get out of this jam, I guess. I don't know, because if I was accused of tax evasion for $1 million, I don't think telling them that I have kids is going to get me out. It didn't work for anybody. So if he pulls it off, he'll be the first one. I'm just amused that he's choosing to spread his music to the world. Like, this judge is gonna be sitting at home bobbing his head like, you know what? Y'all been eating long enough now. Stop being greedy. Keep it real. He's not guilty. Do you hear this? Ribs is touching, so don't make me wait. Fuck around, I'm gonna bite you and snatch the Oh! Let him.
Now hold on. Now there might be another angle he's coming at this though, because he might be hoping that he gets like a Meek Mill style judge who listens to the music and is like, yo, I'll let you off if you put my cousin on. He might be trying to play that angle.
Wow. Put on my cousin and you can get free.
Who's your cousin, sir? His name is Little Faraway. He raps outside of the movie theater on 3rd and Broadway. He also break dances. I would have ended that off by saying, and he does hair, but now we know somebody who literally is a scientist and does hair. All of those other and does hair jokes are now null and void. Step y'all's lives up. No more of this, I'm a waitress and I do hair. None of that. She's a scientist who does hair. Like, you can't top that. That's way up here. My hand is all the way up. And while that's on my mind, please, somebody, anybody, help me out. The fuck is a helicopter Uber?
Wow.
She has a line where she says, police said I can't be fly. I hopped in the helicopter Uber and said go all the way up. What is a helicopter Uber?
Wait, who said that?
Remy Ma or whoever else is on that song.
Oh, okay. For some reason I was thinking like it was Nicki Minaj. But it was on that song. So a helicopter Uber. I feel like after she said that, they came out with it like we should do that. Fucking fuck. There's an Uber chopper. It makes sense. I could see it. I mean, they got those things where like people can rent jets and all that different kind of stuff without having to, take on the full cost of having a jet. So it's just like, why not? Uber's everywhere. That's a song.
Now, let's see. We talked about DMX. We talked about people biting on Beyonce. Lupe Fiasco. Remember him? He did music a while back. Really good music, by the way. Little Weapon is still one of my favorite songs. Dumb It Down is good. He came out with Kick Push. There's other songs that just are. I'll remember them. Don't pressure me. Don't touch me. I will remember the songs later and do an addendum to the show later. But right now I'm good. But Lupe was ready to say that Kendrick Lamar ain't hot.
Oh.
He was quoted as saying, K-Dot is not a top tier lyricist to me and my standards when it comes to punchlines and bars. He went on to break down the areas he finds Lamar to be both strong and weak in the since deleted tweet. Quote, his overall lyrics are good. His stories are phenomenal. But punchline entendre, lyrically, I don't see it.
Okay.
Nah, not okay. After he put that on Twitter, where people could see it, because it's Twitter, about Kendrick, it was Lupe saying something about Kendrick on Twitter. Yeah. I'm unsure what they said to him, but he apologized. Maybe I should have left it alone. Even though my impetus was a control verse. I mean, you put yourself out there like that, so you open yourself up for the critique.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess to me it's just like his critique sounds like he thought it through, regardless of whether or not anybody agrees with it. And I guess I respect a critique that seems like you thought it through versus like, oh, that nigga not hot. And then that's it. Like, you don't have anything, like, you don't have any criteria or anything to say, like, oh, I think this is dope, or I don't think this is dope, or this or that. It's just like, that's how Lupe feel. That's how Lupe feel. I don't have a problem with what he's trying to say as far as that's concerned.
I just feel like people are, like, I appreciate the opinions. Opinions are a beautiful thing. Everybody has them. Everybody's as varied. Just don't do it off of one verse. Like, if you are going to judge somebody, judge them. Like, personally, what I've been doing recently is if I think somebody sucks, and I think a lot of people suck. But before I can come out and officially say that they suck, I will make a playlist of all of their music on Spotify, and I will sit down and see how long I can take it. Because there may be a song where I'm like, ooh, that's good. And that'll keep me floating until like through 2 more songs till I get to another song that's good. And then there may be no good songs. And I'll know that after 20 minutes and I'll be like, okay, this is a trash dude. But at least then I've heard a variance or a trash rapper. But at least then I've heard a variant, because I've never really heard a lady rapper that was trash. It's strange. Gotta think hard. Oh, yes, I have. I forget what her name was. She was a white girl out of the Bay Area that, I forget what her name was though. It was bad. Creation. Yeah, that's
what I was thinking. I wasn't sure if that's who it was. That's what I was thinking.
She was a bad one. She was the anomaly. But like, I'll listen to a whole album before I'll say that somebody's is not performing up to standards. You know, because I don't want to give that opportunity for somebody to say, have you listened to this? And I go listen to it, and I'm like, you know what? That was actually hot. Actually, you know what? Keep your opinions to yourself, said the guy on the podcast who's giving his opinions out about everything. It's safer that way. If you don't want people to come back and get on you and say, what? You haven't had a hot song since Kick Push, which is the direct quote from somebody else on Twitter. Keep your opinions to yourself. Now, me personally, I think that his first 2 albums are really good. Unfortunately, he's put out like 6.
Yeah. And then if it's not albums, it's like bad tweets.
Or
like, he's just got a bad reputation at this point.
Yeah, between the bad tweets, the albums, the getting up on stage at a graduation and telling all of the kids that they weren't going to make it in life. You know, there's better things you can do. Better decisions that can be made. And by the way, I haven't heard either one of his last 2 albums. So apparently he's made 10 albums. I haven't heard the last 7.
So maybe he was just trying to get some relevance back. I don't know, man. I think of everything through an analytic mindset. Like, that's what I do for a living. I'm an analyst. And when I look at who's talking, and I heard, what Shante said, I would agree with that. It definitely was not coming from a standpoint of, I'm just salty right now. But at the same time, you got to look at, okay, who am I and where am I in my career? And then who is this person that I'm critiquing right now in a public forum at the height of his career when everybody loves him? Even if, and I'm not saying that the critique was accurate, but even if my critique was accurate, there's nothing that's going to come out of that that's going to be good. Mm-hmm. Like, you're not about to go when Kendrick is on top of the world and have him read this and be like, oh, you know what? I really do need to punch up my punchlines. Like, no, I'm already doing my thing and the world is eating it up. I don't need that. And at the same time, like, who are you saying that for out here in the world of folks who love Kendrick, and you just going to put that out there and think that it's going to be positive things coming back? I don't see it. To me, I see this as something that, like Lupe, he's a great lyricist. I see this as something that he might say about an up and coming rapper who might have what it takes to break out and be something big, but they're missing that little oomph. They're missing this, they're missing that. And you don't put that on Twitter. You reach out to that person and you give them that feedback one-on-one. If you're going to say something like that, if you're going to put the time and energy into thinking about the critique that you have, then go to that person and give them the critique to help them get better so that they can profit from it. But when you're talking about somebody who's on top of the world, it just looks like either 1, you salty, or 2, you trying to remain relevant in a world that has kind of forgot about you. And it just doesn't make sense. It's not going to work out in your favor.
Either way. Nope. And it's crazy that he came up with this idea, or this came out, right around the time that his new album's coming out, or came out.
Is it really?
Mm-hmm.
Mess.
It's just a coincidence. There's no way that he was doing that on purpose.
Oh, childish. But see, this just fits into Lupe Fiasco's MO that he just kind of he just jumps head first into shit, you know.
Mm-hmm. So, like, I remember there was a point in time where he was at the forefront talking badly about Barack Obama before anybody else was, really, but everybody was like, shut up, man. And then later on people were like, you know what, okay. But Lupe, I liked his first two albums. I will go no further than that. I can't really say anything past that because I don't remember anything on any other album ever. There was a Chinese airline that had a China Eastern Airlines has denied rumors that its flight attendants were filmed engaging in a hotel room orgy after footage was posted on social media last week.
Whoa.
On Wednesday, a series of videos emerged on a popular Chinese microblogging program which showed at least 6 nude men and women dancing, grinding, and laughing in a room. The video quickly went viral, and soon after, rumors emerged that the orgy occurred in Madrid and the people involved were flight attendants for the China Eastern Airlines or a subsidiary. In a document that was allegedly compiled by the airline, the company denied that their employees were the people featured in the video, suggested that it was filmed in Africa, and said the people who created it deliberately did so to ruin their reputation.
Yikes. Like, I mean, if the people are doing something to, you know, ruins these flight attendants' reputation, that's messed up. But then it's also like, what if these, you know, flight attendants were really out there, you know, in the hotel room, you know, getting it in or whatever? Like, who is the snitch on your team that is putting your stuff on video? Like, you gotta find out who that was recording everything, and they gotta go.
And how are you recording stuff in the middle of an orgy? Who got the camera? Like, it's not that hard to see if everybody's butt naked. Somebody's holding up a Samsung. Like, hey, yo, stop filming. Stop filming. You know what? Get out. Just throw them out butt naked. I understand that. You don't want any proof of this happening later on down the line, but no, nobody got strip searched because they were already stripped, so there was no searching of cameras and whatnot. I'm just saying, how do you look at the video of your employees and say, I don't know them? Like, they literally are taking this to a Mission Impossible stage. We'll disavow all knowledge of you ever working for us. There's a burn notice out on you. You're terminated. Nope, I don't know them. Nope, I don't know that airline. Nope, I don't know you. This conversation is over. Click.
Plus, why did they say it was in Africa? Wait, what?
What's wrong with having an orgy?
I mean, if it's not on your company's dime, I would think there's nothing wrong with it. But at the same time, you know, people are sometimes a reflection of their employer, so they can get fired for shit.
Like Bobby Brown said. Oh, go for it.
I was just gonna say, you also got to think about the cultural differences, right? Because, you know, at least with a Chinese company, the individual culture is very much family oriented, right? You are a representation of your family, or you're a representation of your company or of your country. Whereas, you know, here in the United States, we're very much more individualistic. I'm responsible for me. What I do in my own time is a reflection of me and me only. Get over it. But when you're looking at Chinese culture, like if these are actually employees of that airline, and they're out here representing that airline, the level of disrespect and the level of shame that would go toward that airline because of this getting out, I think is amplified because of the cultural differences. And it might just be more normal for a company over there to just be like, all right, look, you're just going to have to eat this. We don't have nothing to do with you. You never were employed here. Your entire history with the company is gone. In fact, we just took all that money back out of your paychecks. You know, it might just be more normal over there for, employees just don't embarrass the company. It just does not happen. I can't speak from that. I don't speak Chinese. I haven't been to China, but Eastern cultures tend to be a lot more group oriented versus individual oriented. And so this might have just been like, oh, hell no. You just don't do it.
I can see that. Mm-hmm. See, logic. I mean, trying to tell you, has it in spades. I dabble. Gerald's just like, boom, logic bomb right there in your face. This one doesn't need logic. Stabbed in the gut. A Peoria County woman blamed her sister, who in turn blamed a ham cutting accident, police said. About 8:30 p.m. on Thursday, the sheriff's deputies were called regarding a stabbing at a residence in West Augusta, just short of Peoria's western city limit. Deputies arrived to find a resident standing in the driveway holding her stomach, according to a police report. 2 puncture wounds were visible in her abdomen, the report stated. As she was loaded into an ambulance, she said she had been on the second floor of the dwelling and arguing with her sister, who stabbed her twice, the report stated. Without offering specifics, she said the only reason for the stabbing would be that her sister was jealous of her, the report said. Upstairs, deputies found a wood-handled pocket knife on a dresser and apparent blood droplets on the carpet, the report said. The sister, who also lives at the residence, told deputies that the stabbing was an accident. I was cutting up my ham when she ran into my knife, she said.
Wow. I mean, yeah, nah.
So there was this book called Encyclopedia Brown. Wonderful series. I used to love it when I was growing up, and I don't need to even close my eyes and think about this one to figure out how that doesn't work for me. I was cutting up my ham when she ran into my knife. That means that your knife would have been pointed towards the ham, not pointed towards her.
Right.
But, I mean, everybody wants to rule the world. Apparently, that excuse doesn't work. Like, I'm shocked. I thought that I thought she was gonna get away with it. Like, what's wrong with cutting ham? Thought this was America. I can't cut ham anymore? Can't cut ham? What?
With a pocket knife.
With a pocket knife. Cause that's what.
Like, girl, no.
That's how you cut ham.
Pocket knife. Like, no. I was cutting my ham with the pocket knife, and then she ran into the blade.
What did you expect when you use a spork? Like, I don't understand the whole issue here. I was cutting my ham, minding my own business, and then my sister decided to run into me to give me a hug. And she got stabbed. It was a pocket knife, ladies and gentlemen. How deep could it have gone, really? Really?
Nah, it's like you stabbed your sister, sis. Like, you really did. Like, you just, for unknown reasons.
I just was making a ham sandwich. That's all.
I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying, I don't know. Maybe she's telling the truth. Because
okay.
I know that there have been times when I went in for like a hug, especially like a bro hug, when it's somebody that you're not really that tight with, and you go in for the bro hug and it's a little bit awkward and you got to go back again, like you got to fix it. And so maybe that's what it was. Like, she went to hug her sister and she got stabbed in the stomach once on accident, but it was an awkward hug. So she was like, oh, I have to try this again. I can't leave it hanging like that. And she went back and tried to hug her again and she got stabbed a second time. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I can see that. See? Logic.
I'm just Cause who in their right mind can bear having that awkward hug or handshake just hanging out there in the world, man? You can't. Like, I can't do it. If we miss, we got to go back and do it again and get it right.
I have had that whole awkward situation where I go for a handshake and they go for a fist bump. and then I go for a fist bump and they go for a high five, and then I realize we're playing rock, paper, scissors, and I'm really just getting my ass whooped.
Oh man, but wouldn't you double over though from the first, if it was as gentle as an awkward hug? You're not go, dude. You don't think if you got stabbed with a pocket knife, you're not gonna be like, oh shit, I got stabbed.
I'm black. You walk that off. Twisted ankles, walk it off.
Put some tussin on it.
Off. Stab to the gut, walk it off. It's a pocket knife. There is no sympathy. There's no crying in baseball. Let me have my turkey ham sandwich.
Wow. Cut with the pocket knife. Now your sandwich bloody.
That's all right. I'll still eat it. Because it's a pocket knife.
Okay.
Like that's the answer for everything. Why'd you do it? It's a pocket knife, ladies and gentlemen. Like seriously. We'll be right back. This single simulcast.
Hey, this is Bacon from AdSpace, and you are listening to Single Simulcast.
This is Phoenix Kalita, and you are listening to Single Simulcast with Rashani and Shantae, and no, I will not be rapping today.
Hey everybody, this is Gerald Jones from the Buy Black Podcast, and you're listening to Single Simulcast. I've been drinking a whole bottle of wine through this episode. This is the first podcast I've been on where I've been allowed to drink, and I'm loving it. Y'all keep listening.
Hey, this is Sharonda, and you're listening to Single Simulcast.
My name is Nikki Blue, and I am the resiest red kid you will ever find. Egwamina kakio ne hiawiakta tawa to Single Simulcast.
You're listening to Single Simulcast with Rashani and my mom, Shantae Fabulous.
Hey, this is Charlotte. Black Lives Matter. Glenda Castile, Life Matters. Single Simulcast is what you're listening to.
That was simply sensational. Single Simulcast shall surely surface speedily. Bitches.
Hi, this is your man Jeremy from the Crown of College Podcast, and you are listening to Single Simulcast with my man Rashani and Shantae Fabulous, your favorite podcaster's favorite podcaster. And I'm your favorite podcaster. So that should be your favorite podcaster, because I'm your fave, and your fave's fave. Check them out on Single Simulcast. And check out Crown of College, found wherever you can find great podcasts and the CSPN network.
Hello, Wubji. I love the Wonder Pets. But I really love Single Simulcast with Rashadi. Peace and hurgers.
We got tons of lawsuits, but did you see the loop-de-loop? At Action Park, come get a beer. You might get hurt if you're a pussy.
If you're a pussy.
But come on, man, we gotta loop-de-loop.
Don't be a pussy.
There's a freaking loop-de-loop. And yeah, you might get a leg or two broken. But really, guys, what
come on out.
We got a loop-de-loop. Why are you acting so scared?
Oh my god.
There's a loop-de-loop. A freaking loop-de-loop. By the way, shall I say it again? A loop-de-loop.
I need this 6-hour commercial to end.
And if you die, we got insurance.
No, they don't.
We're insuring you. We got a loop-de-loop right there, children.
The only insurance they have is
loop-de-loop.
The only insurance they have is that you will have fun.
In a freaking water park. They got a cliffhanger. We got a loop-de-loop. In fact, our name, it's freaking loop-de-loop. We're not Action Park anymore. We're officially loop-de-loop.
Officially loop-de-loop.
Do you see it, children? The freaking loop-de-loop.
Okay. I don't know if I can hear you sing loop-de-loop one more time. I feel like the core message was loop-de-loop.
That is their whole message. Dog, we have a loop-de-loop.
I don't know how that's a thing that makes money.
Why are you holding that Cheeto like a cigarette?
Yeah, boo.
In your mouth.
Where's my mama's cigarette? Y'all know my mama. When my mother died, she was trying to quit smoking, and she had a one of those cigarettes, one of them vapes. Nigga. So sometimes I walk around with it in my ear. Nigga.
Wow.
Nigga.
I got a Lucy. She got Cheetos.
Pam. Nigga. Pam was smoking.
Oh,
Did
shit.
Pam know if the mid was still selling? That's what I need to know.
Pam probably was selling the mid.
Okay. Hey,
my mama know how to get a couple coins.
Man, this is my song for real.
She was resourceful.
My mother was resourceful. Oh, y'all, speaking of Pam, let me just tell y'all this real quick. When I cleaned up Pam's house after she died, the 50 Shades of Grey book was open on her nightstand. Pam was reading 50 Shades of Grey, and I saw a vibrator in her purse when she died, y'all. I know this. I ran to my brothers and said, "What your mama doing?"
Listen,
That's
why
I love Pam.
I gotta clean my life up before anybody find
Pam
me.
trying to get up in that red room.
You gotta go to the Lord because won't He make you clean inside?
Who Raised You podcast is a kitchen table conversation between Karen, Jialian Yang, and
Treasure Shields Redmond.
as we explore how culture, family, and intersecting identities pave our way toward liberation. We want to know, who raised you? We're curious and sometimes a bit irritated. Sit down, we have lots to talk about.
My name is Jordan Redfield Wade.
Well, well, well. If it isn't the so-called People's Champion.
By day, I'm a philanthropist and private investigator.
You risked your own life to try and protect someone who needed it. If that's what's needed to be a hero, then I want to help.
But by night, I protect the people of Newark City in a different way.
My name, champ, is Redwing.
Do I need to count the sheer number of felonies you committed today?
As she lay dying, I promised my mother that I would fight for those who couldn't fight for themselves. And I refused to let her down.
I would do anything to keep you safe, you know that, anything.
Even murder?
If that's what it took, then yes.
I am the defender of Newark City.
Justice is not something you can manufacture.
I am Redwing.
Hello, this is Stephanie from the Mocha Minutes Podcast. On the Mocha Minutes Podcast, we like to have fun and we like to talk. We talk about everything and anything. That includes ratchet reality TV, every single one of them housewives. We talk about television shows. We talk about movies, music, and we definitely keep up with today's current events. You know who else likes to have fun just like us? Rayshani and Shantae Fabulous on the Single Simulcast. You can find them wherever you find your podcasts. And that is everywhere because they are everywhere. And while you're looking for Rayshani and Shantae, please come check out the Mocha Minutes Podcast. Hope to hear from you soon.
Single Simulcast episode 286. Shantae's here. Gerald's here. I'm here. Bye, Black. I'm going to talk about this one, and then we're going to talk about something that we talk about way too often, honestly. And it never, ever, ever changes. But I want to talk about this one, and then we're going to talk about that one. Staten Island woman's crime spree through the borough ended with NYPD officers shooting and injuring her during a traffic stop on Sunday afternoon. A strange series of events led to the police-involved shooting in the Sunnyside neighborhood, according to police. It all started on Saturday night when the woman allegedly choked her former best friend's new best friend at a PTA meeting at Academy of St. Dorothy in Grassmere. Law enforcement Sources say she was arrested for criminal obstruction of breathing after the PTA incident. I didn't even know if that was a thing. Criminal obstruction of breathing. I've heard of
not choking.
Of justice. I feel like it's just criminal obstruction of blank, and then you just fill in that blank. Criminal obstruction of my plate. Like you are just, I see my steak right there. Look, Your Honor, I am not guilty of stabbing her with a pocket knife. She is guilty of criminal obstruction of my ham. She got in between me and my plate and moved towards me. And what was I? It's a pocket knife, Your Honor. Like, seriously. Criminal obstruction of my video game. I'm trying to play my game and you just keep talking and talking and talking. So of course I leave. That's how I deal with things, because I am a repressed, angry 38-year-old white guy who lives with his mom. This is a dramatization, by the way. And on this one, criminal obstruction of breathing, because I'm going to choke you because you stole my best friend. It makes sense. But the madness continued on Sunday afternoon, which means they let her go. On Saturday, they let her go. Madness continued on Sunday afternoon when the woman drove to her mother-in-law's house in the Midland Beach neighborhood and started firing a starter pistol at the home. Starter pistols don't actually fire bullets. Then the woman and the man got in a black GMC SUV and were eventually pulled over by the police. The officers detained the man for further questioning, but the woman managed to take off in the SUV. From there, she went back to her former best friend's house and used the brick to break into the house. Her former best friend wasn't at home at the time, but her son was, who said the woman took his phone. The son managed to escape to a neighboring home belonging to a retired cop, where he called police. The son also called his mom and warned her not to come home because her former best friend was inside the house with a gun. When police arrived, she took off again in the SUV. She was eventually pulled over not far away, and she took out the gun and ignored the officers' demands to drop it. 2 officers fired 5 rounds at the woman, hitting her once in the shoulder, according to police, who said they don't believe she fired at the officers during the encounter. Neighbors describe hearing gunshots and yelling. You heard her screaming, "You shot me, I'm shot." They charged her with burglary, acting in a manner injurious to a child less than 17, menacing aggravated harassment, and criminal mischief. Shooting comes less than 24 hours after police say that a knife-wielding man was shot by officers as he charged them inside a Whole Foods in Harlem on Saturday night. I live in Sacramento. I live in Meadowview. My grandma lives right down the street. My grandma lived right down the street from where Stephon Clark lived. Somebody already came up and confessed for what they shot Stephon for. The thing that they were called out there in the first place for. How often does it happen now that police are called to a situation where the person that they're attacking or murdering has done nothing wrong? How often does that happen now? It's just become pretty much second nature in this day and age where we're just not even... We're more amazed when the police leave black folks alive at this juncture. And that's horrifying to admit. I never thought it was going to get to Sacramento. Strangely enough. Even after they murdered Joseph Mann a few years back. I thought that was an anomaly. They said they shot him because he was in distress. He had mental health issues, and they said he was acting distressed when they chose to shoot him. But with Stephon, he didn't have anything. He wasn't even in a place where they should have felt like they were in danger. He was in his backyard. They said that somebody called the police and said that a guy wearing an outfit that almost exactly described Stephon's was breaking into cars and running into people's backyards in his own neighborhood, because that's what you do. I'm not going to say that I'm the best guy in the world. I'm not going to say that I'm the worst guy in the world, but I know without a shadow of a doubt that if you're going to break into cars, you don't do it in your own neighborhood. That's like an unspoken rule of thumb. They said he was. They also said that he was running into people's backyards. Like, I don't understand what they meant by that. If they were trying to insinuate that he was casing places, if what he was doing but he was in somebody's backyard. He was in his own backyard. They said that he had a toolbar, which I guess is a crowbar. I don't know. Then they said he had a gun, but it was a cell phone. They shot him 20 times. They didn't announce themselves. They just said that he fled from them when they came around, which I know where he lived at. I would have ran too. Somebody comes up out of nowhere and comes at me, I'm taking off. It's not a good time. They didn't say drop your weapon. They didn't give any warnings. They just feared for their own safety. It's funny how people with so much power have so much fear. And it's funny how they have this same fear in every state, in every city. But they only have it for black people. They had no fear of that kid in Parkland. They had no fear of the guy in Austin who actually killed himself. Police didn't even get the opportunity. The other school shooting that happened. Where was the other recent school shooting at? I mean, they're starting to blur, unfortunately.
Was there one in Maryland?
In Maryland. That guy shot himself. Against what 45 said when he was like, it takes a good guy with a gun to stop a bad guy with a gun. No, the bad guy shot himself. I am not in any way, shape, or form. I am a 38-year-old black man. I am in no way, shape, or form naive enough to think that us asking you to give us the respect that we deserve is going to make you stop murdering people. It's going to make you stop murdering black women, black men, black children. I know that it's not going to stop you. You murdered from grandparents all the way down to babies. You've thrown flash grenades into houses and have mutilated children. You've done all of this. So I know me asking you to take a step back and just stop killing us. I tried that before. We did that episode. It's literally called Stop Killing Us, Please. Fuck that. I'm past it. I'm past that. It's funny how much we are just lowering our expectations of what we want from you. We want you to stop killing us, but if we can't get that, can you just have some patience? Officer, can you show us the same patience and restraint that you show with every other with every other suspect, with every other person that you encounter. Patience. Can you ask us to put down the weapon? Can you ask us to do this? Like, there is literally no way, shape, or form that Philando should have been murdered. I'm going to go and talk about him. There's no way when he told you what he had. There's no way that people should be murdered when they're reaching for their wallet. When they tell you that they're reaching for their wallet, do you understand how scary that is? Like, unless I have my wallet taped to my chest, I'm scared every single time a cop turns on their lights and it's dark outside. Hell, when it's bright outside, because even though you see my hands and I tell you I'm reaching for my wallet, I'm black and I could be lying. Like, I am literally petrified of police. The people who are sent there to protect us are the first people to think that we're suspects. How do you not expect us to be worried about you? The people who are sent to protect us are literally scared for their lives every time they encounter us. How do you expect us to not worry about that? Like, you make it known that you worry about us. And y'all make it known that they won't be punished for it unless they're black. Because Alton Sterling's murderers won't be charged in the fatal shooting of him. They just announced that today. Officials in Louisiana declined to charge 2 Baton Rouge police officers in the fatal shooting of Alton Sterling. It was on video. Nobody goes to jail except for that guy who killed the white woman. Stephon was a father. He had the opportunity to affect the world in wonderful ways. They all did. I'm not just putting this out there because it's Sacramento. They all did. They all had the opportunity to do wonderful things until they had the misfortune of coming up against somebody who gave no fucks about their future. I'm sorry. Shantae, Gerald, y'all got anything?
I've got a lot, but I defer to Shantae.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just a lot of people should still be alive. That's really what the bottom line is for me. A lot of people should still be alive.
Gerald.
So, as I've said before, I am an analyst both by nature and by trade. And when this happened to Alton Sterling, I didn't even know that today they decided that the officers weren't going to be charged. So my heart just dropped. That sucks. But when I thought about what is going to change this, when I look at what is going to change this, people always act in their own self-interest first, no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
Always. And everything about racism in the United States is all wrapped around this, 400 years worth of propaganda campaign against us, that literally there are great people in this nation who see themselves as the most open-minded and most pro-diversity, most this, that, and the other, and they still, because if you were born in this nation and raised in this nation with our politics and our media and our culture, you have a bias against black people, and that includes black people. There's no way we can get around it. There's no way we can get away from it. It is ingrained in us from birth. to the point where I don't believe that most of these officers who are doing this shooting are just openly racist. They're not, hidden KKK operatives who are just getting in and saying, I'm going to shoot a nigga today. They literally do fear for their lives when a man is holding a cell phone in his own backyard when he chased them down. They literally think that really is a gun. And they don't think that consciously. It's subconscious. It's just what has been ingrained in them. Black danger threat, period. And in a moment like that, your first reaction is, I got to make it home to my family. Forget the fact that I'm here to protect and serve this citizen. But that's not the first thought when it's a white person or a person of any other race than black, because nobody else has been vilified, both in this nation and around the world, the way that black people have. And so that gut reaction is, my life is in danger. But that gut reaction of my life is in danger, which is completely, what's the word I'm looking for? Irrational, is coupled with the fact that the consequence of acting on that gut reaction is zero. And that's a dangerous, dangerous reality for us as black people, because the gut reaction of fear of a black person could be tempered with the opposite reaction of, if I shoot this person, my life is over anyway. But because it's okay to kill us, because our lives don't matter, legally at least, they know, hey, if I make the wrong call right now, no matter what, I'm going home alive. So I take that risk off of the table, and I'll just say that I felt like my life was in danger, and I know that I'm going to get off. And that all adds up to open season on black people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just that is the reason. That is the reason that I started the podcast that I did. And I'm under no illusions that a podcast is going to change the world. But my whole thought process is based on I don't know if you're familiar with Dr. Claude Anderson. He's got a company called Powernomics, and he talks about these 5 levels of control, which basically says that in order for any group of people to be free, they have to control these 5 things. They have to control their economics first. They have to have control of politics second. They have to be able to control their own justice third. And then they have to be able to control the media, and they have to be able to control education. But you can't control any of those other 4 levels until you have control of your own economics. If you don't have money behind you, behind your demographic, there's no way that you're going to be able to influence politicians, because politicians only care about one thing: getting reelected. And getting reelected takes money. So if we don't have control of our own economics, we can't buy the politicians like everybody else does. If we can't buy the politicians, then when somebody like Stephon Clark is murdered in his backyard, there's no way that we'll be able to get justice, because that politician is going to influence the police department and influence the DA's office and influence the judges in such a way to guarantee that the people who keep them elected are happy with the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
If black people aren't keeping you elected, then there's no reason to get justice for the family of Stephon Clark, the family of Alton Sterling, the family of Philando Castile, because people work in their own self-interest. It would be against my self-interest in order to get real justice for this family, because it's going to piss off the people who can get me kicked out of my seat, and ultimately my seat is all I care about. And we're never going to change that about politics, which means that we have to be able to influence politicians. Those politicians will be able to influence the justice system in our favor once we have the ability to say, if we don't get justice, you don't get reelected. Marching won't change it. Taking somebody's seat away from them, as sick as that is what's going to change it. We can't do that until we have the influence. We don't have the influence till we have the money. And how do we get that influence? How do we control, the image of us? I'm sorry, this is separate from that. But how do we also have to control our own image, and we have to control our own culture. We have to change the image of us through media. We have to own media platforms like Single Simulcast. You own this. It's not controlled by somebody else. You control the message on here. You control how people see blackness through you. You know, I own Black by Black podcast. I didn't build that through somebody else. I didn't borrow money from somebody else. I fund that myself. We talk about what I want to talk about on my show. You see blackness through my eyes on my show. And guess what? I'm never going to apologize for that because it's my media platform.
Mm-hmm.
We have to own our media platforms, promote and support our media platforms, because we have to take our image back from this racist country that has spent 400 years depicting us as violent, angry, stupid apes. We have to take ownership of that. And we have to control our education, because it's through education that our children learn culture. And so long as we aren't controlling the education, we don't control what our children learn about themselves or anything else. But we can't control any of that until we have our own money in the community that we can put towards controlling politicians, forcing justice to happen in our way, owning our media platforms, and building and owning our own educational platforms. We have to get there, because once we get to a position, it's only going to take one. I guarantee you it will only take one conviction. One conviction. Somebody shoots a black cop, or I'm sorry, somebody shoots a black person, man, woman, trans, whatever. Somebody shoots a black person out of quote unquote fear for their life, which I guarantee you is real. They feel that fear because it's been ingrained in them since birth. I don't doubt at all that when they say, I feared for my life, they really meant it. The problem is, it's okay to fear for your life against a black person who literally says, oh, sir, I have a weapon. Yes, sir. No, sir. Yes, I have a concealed carry license. Let me show you, sir. No problem, sir. I'm not reaching for it, sir. Pow, 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 pow. Acquitted. Why? I was in fear for my life. And 12 people heard that and said, yep, I would have been in fear for my life too. Until we can have a cop or anybody go to jail for the rest of their life or get the death penalty for, in that situation, killing a black person, until they see that consequences on the table, nothing changes. But as soon as that consequence is on the table, as soon as you see conviction one, I guarantee you police officers and other non-black people are going to start thinking twice in that situation. Oh, I'm afraid for my life. Man, if I shoot, I'm going to jail forever. Let me wait another second. Oh, it was just a cell phone.
Not as scared as I thought I was. I feel the anger flowing out of me.
Right. But as long as there's no consequence to tamper that irrational fear that has been put into people about us for the last 400 years, then they're just going to shoot first because they know the magic phrase, I was in fear for my life. Mm-hmm. I'm done, man. I'm sorry.
Why? Never apologize. That was it. Like, there's... So I've been hearing a lot about the kids from Parkland. And somebody, I think it might have been Rod from the Black Guy Who Tips, he posted up a thing on Facebook of the kids in Parkland saying these kids were raised in social media, you know, so they know how to be activists, how to make this work. And the kids from Parkland are actually, they're signing up kids right now to be ready to vote when they turn 18. They're pre-registering them to vote to get the people in their district out of office, which is wonderful. I've been saying Clean House 2018 for a really long time. And I mean, that's awesome. It's just, they came out with a list of requests they have to make things right, because they are open and stating that their white privilege is the reason why they are getting so much space and time to talk about gun control, because Lord knows children of color have been protesting gun control this whole time. Yes, they do care about black on black crime, which again, not a real thing. Same way that you don't say white on white crime. Usually the person that you're around the most, the person that you would get into an altercation with the most and would ultimately murder or kill the most. But one of the things they said was that they want mental health facilities to share their information with police departments, which means that if somebody is schizophrenic or bipolar or has depression, the mental health groups should let the police know that. That doesn't really help us, because that just gives them another excuse. Like, in my mind, I'm reading this and I'm like, that just gives the police another excuse to use. Oh, they were acting erratic. I feared for my life, so I shot. I feel like there are, throughout the country, throughout the world, honestly, black folks have been protesting gun violence and police violence and have not been getting heard the way that these kids from Parkland, this rich suburb in Florida, have been getting heard almost immediately. And if you don't find that devastating, I have nothing more to tell you. Because it is. They're going to be marching in Sacramento over the next 3 days. They marched, they shut down the freeway on Thursday. And it's when Freddie Gray died, I did a show called Mortal Men, because there was a lot of folks who were saying that, you know, a lot of folks who when Walter Scott and Trayvon Martin and Michael Brown died, they were like, burn the city down to get what you need. You know, if we have to riot, we have to riot. And then once Freddie Gray died in Baltimore, and folks were burning down stores out there or doing what they needed to do in forms of protest to get their point across, all of a sudden folks in Baltimore wanted peace. You're not going to hear that from me. I'm going to tell you straight out, if Zoe doesn't get justice, burn this motherfucker to the ground. Burn it down. I've got insurance. We need to do something to be heard, because they shut the body cameras off and the police chief doesn't know why. He was running on a platform of accountability. Black guy. ACAB. He was running on a platform of accountability, but doesn't know why the cameras got turned off. He doesn't know what happened. Burn it down. Only when sometimes in order to start fresh and get good, clean, fertile soil to grow again, you got to burn everything up. It seems like one of those times. Shantae.
Yes.
Yo, what's on your mind?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm at a loss, basically. I mean, something needs to happen. But, I think people need to think about, abolishing the police. Because the system isn't set up really to protect anybody. Like, not really. Like, obviously, the system protects white people more than it protects black people. But even if they get caught, even they can get just as caught up. You know, and if the right situation, if it's between them and some property, if it's between them and somebody with more money, they'll get caught up too. They're going to get put in jail. You know, it's only a matter of time before it's them. Before, if they want to, act up behind some shit, they'll get caught up too.
I was watching this show on Netflix called On My Block. Good show. You should definitely check it out. And at some point they showed a white guy, or they were discussing a white guy who got killed by police, and one of the kids was like, "Why did he get killed by police? He was white." And then the grandma was like, "Yeah, but he was poor."
Yeah.
So I see what you're saying. I mean, I know that they didn't show Kelly Thomas any love whatsoever when they murdered him. It's just harder and harder to point out circumstances where white folks were murdered, because the white folks who are murdering people aren't getting murdered back.
So I want to throw something in here that I've been following for a while. The thing that bothers me is that we, and when I say we, I mean all of us, but we specifically, those of us who are wanting the justice, we tend to let things slip off of our plate, and we forget about it with the next news cycle. You know, the march is over with and the anger's over with, and unless you're physically in that location where things happen, like in Sacramento, you just kind of forget about it. I want to remind people about another one of these incidents that happened with Jordan Edwards, which is a 15-year-old boy in Texas who was killed by a police officer as he and his friends were driving away from a party. And originally, the cop said that the car was driving at him, and that's why he shot into the car. But his body camera was on, and it showed that the car was driving away. So he unloaded his rifle. When they say rifle, I'm going to have to assume it was probably an AR-style rifle, into this car, and he shot Jordan Edwards in the head and killed him. This officer has been charged not with murder, but with aggravated assault. And he is also facing counts of aggravated assault from an unrelated road rage incident 2 weeks before he shot Jordan Edwards. But no murder charges, just aggravated assault. His trial has been pushed back to this coming June, scheduled for June 25th. I watch these trials. I watch when these things happen, and I watch as the process goes on, because it's so easy for us to forget about them. And then we just find out, oh, they were acquitted, and we get upset. But we've got to stay on them. We got to stay on the system and say, okay, where is this case now? Where is this case now? Have they been indicted? Or is it gone to trial yet? Because when we let off the gas, that's when we give them the license to go ahead, do what they're going to do while nobody's watching. And by the time that we bring it back to attention, the damage has already been done. The person is already free. This is one that I've been following because it's beyond Philando Castile, because there was a body camera and the officer lied about what happened in the incident and was caught by the body camera. He has been indicted. He wasn't charged with murder. But I'm still hopeful. After Philando Castile, I lost almost all of what is left for hope in my mind for this nation. I'm still hopeful that we'll get some kind of conviction with this. But it's been like 50 years since a police officer was actually convicted of anything in Texas. But we got to keep an eye on this. I want to see what happens in this trial, and I'm getting there, man. I'm getting to the point where it's just like, all right, all hope is lost. I'm cutting all connections with anything that is, pro anything. I'm just taking care of home, taking care of the black community. I ain't listening to nobody else. I ain't got time for you. If you're not riding for us, then you can go on somewhere else. I don't have time for it. Because ain't nobody else going to stand up for us, and nobody else is going to follow up for us. And I feel like that's the thing that we fail at, is we fail on the follow-up. We get mad, we march, we argue, but then we fail on the follow-up. And we cannot continue to fail on the follow-up for these families, for this justice that they end up standing by themselves fighting for, because we've all moved on to the next moves, or the next news cycle.
I've been paying attention to things such as this, and I don't know, might sound petty, might not. I don't really know. White folks, y'all have been really, really, really quiet on my timeline, on my news feed, on everything this week. As far as talking about Stephon, I mean, people here in Sacramento, white people, y'all been really, really quiet. Folks across the country, y'all been really, really quiet. And it's been noticed. I've seen every picture you put up of you and your kids out at Black Bear Diner. I've seen the pictures you put up of you and your kids at basketball games and smiling and grinning and here's the sunshine and all that kind of stuff. I see it. And I know that you know me, and I know that when it's all said and done, you say that we're friends, but I see you. I see this. And it makes me wonder, in the event of my demise, would you ride? And that's a scary thing to have to think about. It's a somber thing to have to think about. But it's a serious question. In the event of my demise, if the police or somebody did harm to me, what would you do? Where would you be? What would you express? I'm saying, white folks, I'm looking directly at you. I'm looking directly at your feeds, and it's getting harder and harder to not just leave y'all behind. Harder and harder. Because with the exception of Trevor, my homeboy Trevor, everybody else been real quiet. What would you do? And I'm ashamed of how, if y'all were silent before, I didn't notice, but you probably were then too. It's not your world, right? It's not your concern. I mean, for some of y'all, I'm your kid's basketball coach, but it's not your concern. It's just my job to take care of your kids for 2 to 4 hours every week. You love me in the moment, but you don't love us. That's crazy. That you don't. I saw more stuff from the Parkland shooting. I saw white folks around here up in arms. Probably because it resonated with them and with their kids. I saw stuff about the Maryland shooting. Again, resonated with them and their kids, but not as much. And then with Stephon, I didn't see anything. They might share posts that I put up, But white folks are literally the most non-rockin' the boat-ness people when they say that they're allies that I've ever come across. And we're going to have to make that decision. We're gonna. Are y'all allies or are you obstacles?
Gerald, you know, a lot of I was just gonna say, you know, when it comes to being an ally for black people, what white people call being an ally is really them being neutral. That's really what they mean, a lot of them, when they say I'm an ally, because that same ally speak is, oh, I'm colorblind. I don't see color. It's like, okay, but all you really telling me is, I know you're in a war with people over here who are trying to kill you. I'm not one of them. I'm neutral. You don't have to worry about me. Okay, but are you doing anything to get them to stop trying to kill me? No. I just want you to know. I just want you to know that when I'm around, you don't have to worry about me being one of the ones trying to kill you. Oh, thanks. You're neutral. You're Switzerland. That don't help me. I don't need that. I don't need an ally whose idea of being an ally is, I'm just not going to get into it. Because that still leaves me against the world.
I'm going to say one more thing and then we can go ahead and close it out. White folks, y'all been failing us since Apollo Creed was getting his ass whooped by Ivan Drago and Rocky didn't throw in the towel. Like, no support. None. Should have known back in 1984. I don't even know why I said that. This was not a time for humor. It's deadly serious to me. I fuck that shit. You know what? Fuck that. Fuck you if you're not helping. Fuck you if you're not supporting us. Fuck you. Seriously. If you're listening to this show and you haven't shared shit, you haven't spoken on shit, you're just sitting back quietly, posting up pictures and acting like everything is sunshine and all that kind of stuff because you have that option, fuck you. If your biggest concern this week is Stormy, fuck you. Fuck you. Seriously. Thanks for listening. I appreciate you listening. But kiss my black ass. We need more from you. I can't have you hiding out in the background time after time just to come out when it's sunny like, hey, I've been standing here this whole time. What happened? Hey, did anybody see where so-and-so went? Yeah, they dipped out. Oh, nah, I was standing in the back where the rest of us allies were, behind y'all. Not standing beside you. I don't know. I really don't. I'm just really... Well, we already know how I am right now. I'm this way every single time a black person gets murdered by the police. In the same way, ain't nothing changed. And unfortunately, the way it seems, nothing ever will. Gerald, go ahead and tell them again where they can find your show. And if you got any shout outs, that's on you as well. Oh, and thank you for getting through the Book of Lies. But please go ahead.
Oh man, yeah, I thought we were going to talk about that today, but it seems like we kind of went long. So yeah, shout outs. I actually wrote down a list of shout outs because I've been listening to the show. I know y'all do this at the end of it. So first off, Buy Black Podcast, y'all. If you're out there listening, definitely connect with the show. I label my website as the #1 place for black entrepreneurs and consumers to connect. And that's really what my project is about. I want to help people connect with each other and find the resources that they need to succeed and the resources we need to grow. So it's buyblackpodcast.com. As far as finding the show, it's on all the different podcast directories. However, pause for effect. What I would really like for you to do is download my app. I actually have a standalone app in the Apple Store and in the Google Play Store. If you just look for Buy Black Podcast, you will find it. It's Buy Black, Build the New Black Wall Street. And you can download my app directly to your phone. And the great thing about the app is there's a contact tab where you can call me directly from the app, or you can email me directly from the app. So once you got my app in your phone, you got me in your hip pocket, and you can connect with me anytime. Also, I'm a consultant. I have a consulting firm called Haptic Consulting LLC. I specialize in training and leadership consulting. That's why I kept saying I'm an analyst. I kind of live my life helping people make better decisions and win. So if you're looking for anything like that, you got me. When we talk about shout outs to people, I got to give my shout outs. First off, to Darren Marion. He is the CEO of a company called Ratel SEO, Ratel SEO. He's the man that I interviewed today for episode number 33 of Buy Black Podcast. He got my SEO right for my website. He's a search engine optimization guru. If you got a website out there, whether it's a blog, a podcast website, a business website, black-owned business that can get you ranked on the first page of Google, hook up with Darren Marion. Also, I got to give a shout out to Mike D. Los Santos with Mike D's Barbecue, because he was one of the first people riding with me about Black Podcast. He's been my number one supporter, and I never give him a shout out every time I get a chance to. And I needed to put Mike out there. So Mike D's Barbecue, he is doing big things. He's out of Raleigh, North Carolina, and he's in the process right now of getting his barbecue sauces with international suppliers. Like, he had meetings today with folks in Chile and Brazil and over in Europe and Asia. He is doing big things. He's got a great barbecue sauce. Also want to give a shout out to Stephanie Williams over at the Mocha Minutes podcast. I know that's a friend of all of ours. Stephanie, man, she runs a great show over at Mocha Minutes, and she's had me on twice now. I love it. So always a shout out to her and the fam, and all the other podcasts that I've been able to just be on. I'm meeting all my Black podcast heroes, and I'm getting to connect with y'all. And I'm telling you, man, it's been a hell of a ride over the last 8 months, just getting connected with, in the Facebook group, and connecting with you guys, connecting with you, Rashani, with Shantae, and just kind of becoming part of what I feel like is a family. And then my final shout out is to the two of you, to you, Shantae, and to you, Rashani, for running this show. I started listening to Single Simulcast, and the thing that jumped out to me is that, you guys, you talk about how you have the phone line that people can call specifically if they feel like they need support. Whenever I listen to a podcast, I feel like a podcast is a platform to draw an audience so you can do something with it. I'm not really all about having a podcast for the sake of having a podcast. And so when I found out that, y'all are about being here for people who might be in a situation where they need mental health support, they need a shoulder to be able to talk to, or ear to talk to, or somebody to help them back away from the edge of that cliff. And not everybody has somebody to call at that moment, and just having somebody you can trust, somebody that is willing to listen to you when you just need somebody to tell you, hey, the thing that you think you're about to do, you don't need to do it. Somebody cares about you, man. There's so much love in that. I commend both of y'all. Shout out to both of y'all for having this platform and using it to create an outlet for people who need that kind of support, because you never know when it's going to hit you. But when you do, if you got somebody who you can pick up the phone and call and is going to help you through that, man, that's saving a life right there, man. Shout out to y'all for having this platform for that.
You know what? We appreciate that, because, the sun came out in Sacramento today for first time in a while, but it's going to take a while before people start really feeling it out here. And throughout the country, I know that there's a lot of storms, both physical and personal, that are going on right now. And we're still here. We've said this a lot. And I don't think we're ever going to stop saying it. I think that it's our underlying subtitle, Don't Walk Alone. You can hit us up on Facebook. You can hit us up on Google Voice, 916-572-9016. You can email us. You can inbox us. I'm Rashani on Twitter. Shantae is Shantae Fabulous on Twitter. You can slide into my DMs. Slide into my inbox. I literally have nothing but time to listen. And I only want to help. I don't want to judge. I don't want to make suggestions. I don't want to change your life. I just want to listen. And I want to help. If you just need somebody, honestly, if you just need somebody every so often to just call you, just to check in on you, see how you're doing, just to talk to you. If you've ever walked into a place like a mall and felt so alone in a crowd of people, if it's happened to me, it happens to people. It's okay. That's what we're here for. We're here for you. I can't sit back and let somebody walk that path alone. It is such a dark, scary, lonely path that at some point there's always that fear that you might just stop moving. Just stop going. And I just keep going forward. I'll cheer for you. I'll cry for you. I'll laugh with you. I'll talk with you. I'll do whatever you want to an extent. Of course, I'm not gonna, you know what? I don't know. I haven't been put in that situation. I'm not even going to say that out loud. I haven't been put in that situation, so I don't know. I just know that we are here to support you. We're here to help. And just give us the opportunity. Shantae, you got any shout outs?
Yeah, just shout out to everybody who still rocks with us, who continues to rock with us. You know, and no love for the people that want to stay quiet in the face of their friends' turmoil.
Or want to profit from it. If you help somebody and then you tell the world that you helped somebody, you're an asshole. That's just my opinion. Let me put that out there like that. In my opinion, if you videotape yourself doing something nice and you weren't doing something nice just because it needs to be done. So, Gerald, you really got through the Book of Lies, man. I'm impressed.
Yeah.
I know Shantae's got to go pretty soon. I just wanted to let you know we recognize your strength.
Yes.
Bruh, it was so good. What you guys did was so good. The book was horrible. Oh my god. but what y'all did with the Book of Lies was so good. You can't, like, it was the kind of thing where if you were just reading that book as a person, you would want to put it down. But when you listening to y'all read the book, you can't put it down. Like, I got to go to the next chapter. I got to see what they talk about next. And the roller coaster, I mean, the absolute, just the caucasity of it all with her. And just going through a chapter where it's just like completely 100%, man, fuck her and everything that she is about. And then the very next chapter going to a point of, I can't really say anything about her right now because fuck what she went through. And having take that roller coaster ride knowing that some of this has to be true. And so you hurt for her and you hurt for her family and the folks who went through it, but knowing that most of it is shit she completely fabricated and is using to fuck over black women specifically. It's like she intentionally puts people in this impossible situation where you have to feel empathy for Satan.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
It's crazy.
Yeah, that sums up the Book of Lies right there. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, it was a ride, y'all. I'm serious. Y'all took it for a ride. And anybody listening who has picked up Single Simulcast since episode 270, go back to episode 240 and listen through the Book of Lies. It is podcast. It is epic podcast content. I can't describe it as anything else. Y'all put in the work to create something that is great. And the raw emotion that you and your guests felt every episode, man, it comes through, and it's just, I can't imagine anything better in this world coming out of that woman creating anything than what y'all created from her crap. That's the best thing Rachel Dolezal's ever gonna do.
Well, that is high praise,
right?
And I mean, we both appreciate it. I definitely appreciate it because that was some of the worst podcasting I've ever went through.
And that is the overwhelming result. That is the overwhelming response from everybody who did an episode of the Book of Lies. Like, that was some hard work. Not only was it hard work, I've been listening to it recently because why not? I've been going back through. I am now on the chapter where she threw up because they made her eat oatmeal.
Oh, okay.
And I remember feeling bad for her because it was a short chapter, and we felt bad for her. But at the same time, we were like, "What the fuck does oatmeal have to do with anything else in the entire situation?" And yeah. Shantae was like, I get it, because I don't like oatmeal. I eat cream of wheat, and I eat malted meal, and I didn't even take the time out to get on you about that, you picky motherfucker. I let it run. Ooh! But
my God.
As a cream of wheat lover myself, but malted meal, seriously.
It's the same thing.
It is, but not. Malted meal is not on the level of cream of wheat. Malted meal is weird. It's like Ralston. I think malted meal is a Midwest thing, though.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what we'll say, and we'll just drop it at that. It's weird.
Yeah, I ain't never heard that before, but okay.
Right, and you're from Midwest area, right?
I live in the Midwest, but I'm from the South, man. I'm from Arkansas. I live up here in Omaha, and this is Whitehaven. I completely understand never seeing a black person until you 12 years old when you live up in Montana, because man, the Midwest is wild. I mean, I've never seen so many blonde, ugly people in the same place at the same time in my entire life. It is freaking ridiculous out here. It's crazy.
Oh, that's why I stay on the sides, the East Coast or the West Coast. I ain't going in the middle.
It's so crazy. But you know what? You know what I like about being out here in the middle? It's Dolezal land out here. Like, you face racism everywhere, but the racism here is because of complete ignorance. Like, I've never seen one of these things before, so I'm going to ask really inappropriate questions because I may not get another chance. Like, it's not the kind of hatred racism you get in the South. It's a lot more like, you know, I didn't know I couldn't ask you that. Well, now I know. Like, it's crazy, man. It's novel. It's novel being a black person here because white people look at you like, interesting. And then they just kind of go on about their day and, you know, dippity bop their head going back to their car. It's fucking weird.
Dear diary, today I saw one.
And the diary knows exactly what they talking about.
Exactly.
They like, girl, you did? Ooh. No, tell me all about that.
I've heard that
That's
if you
crazy.
want to see black folks in the Midwest, you got to go to their major state college.
And they all play a sport. That's true. Yep.
Like in Oklahoma, I go to Oklahoma or Oklahoma City if I want to see black folks. Like I got to go to the literal university. Nebraska, same thing. And Kansas, same thing. And you can't tell me otherwise. You cannot convince me. Like you really have to work hard to tell me that there's black folks outside of Boise State University. Like you got to work your ass off for me to believe that one. And even if you say that there's black folks at the University of Utah or whatever it's called, Utah University, I don't believe you regardless. Like, just give that one up completely. But yeah, you want to find the black folks? You got to go to the colleges. That's what Rachel did. She went and found the black folks, and then she made herself the president of them.
Of the black folks.
Like,
you know what, man?
Think about that.
I love every time I was listening to that show, it always took me back to an interview Malcolm X did, and he was arguing with this guy who called himself a liberal white person, and he was saying, you know, I'm always wary of white people who call themselves a friend of the Negro and want to get into Negro organizations and have to sit at the head of the thing. Mm-hmm. You know, if you call yourself a friend of the Negro and you want to be a part of these organizations, then you need to sit in the back. You know, put a black person in that leadership position, and then if you want to advise them. If you want to teach them how to run that position, teach them. But if you call yourself a friend, then you need to sit in the back and you need to help us get where we're going, not jump into the organization and feel like you got to sit at the head of it. And that was Rachel Dolezal her entire freaking life. Is I know everything that these poor, ignorant black people don't. And when I come around, they are so grateful for my presence. They're so grateful that I was here to teach them, to mentor them. They love me. No, bitch. They just saw you as some crazy white girl who was cool because you was probably funny. And you was probably funny not because you was they was laughing with your jokes. It was because they was laughing at your stupid ass for thinking everything you was saying was authentically black. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can come sit around and talk all you want to, because as soon as you leave, we're going to talk about your stupid ass. That's comedy right there for us. But she was so damn caught in her own head. It's just like, oh, they love me. They love having me around. No, it was just you weren't a threat. So sure, you can come hang out near the cookout until we see that you crazy.
And then
you good for a laugh.
Yeah, real talk. Well, this has been quite the variant. Well, no, it hasn't been a variance. Like, really. Like, it had a solid theme all the way through. But this single simulcast episode 286. Rainbow, get in touch with me on Twitter or else Shantae, so then we can get episode 300 cracking. Because if you're not there, then it doesn't work. Holla at y'all later. Be good. Peace.
This is Single Simulcast.
Don't know by now that you slip.